Hello and welcome to the France 24 interview. Our guest today is the President of Sri Lanka, Ranil Wickremesinghe. Thank you very much for being with us, Mr. President.
My pleasure.
You became president in a very difficult situation for your country. There were street protests triggered by the country's worst economic crisis since its independence. Sri Lanka has defaulted. It has reached a deal with the International Monetary Fund back in March. And there are reports by the Reuters news agency that the World Bank is about to approve $700 million in budgetary and welfare support at its next board meeting. Can you confirm that this is indeed happening?
We are anticipating money from the World Bank. So far, we have fulfilled all the benchmarks, and therefore, we are qualifying for the assistance from the World Bank. It's a much-needed money at the moment and will certainly help to strengthen the economy.
Right. So 700 million is the figure you're expecting, or more?
Well, I hope if there are more, I'm not going to complain.
Obviously, here in Paris, and I assume in many other arenas where you're traveling and participating, the issue of your debt is extremely important because you need financial oxygen. Obviously, your debt, external debt, stands at $42 billion, I believe. Are you making progress with the different creditors? There's the Paris Group, there's China. Are you making progress, Mr. President?
Discussions are going on with the different groups. We've have an agreement with Lazard to represent us. And the debt restructuring program will be presented to Cabinet on Wednesday. I think over the weekend they're hoping to finalize it. It will go to Parliament on Friday before the Public Finance Committee. Then Saturday and Sunday it will be debated in Parliament and will be approved by Parliament. Thereafter, we can start the rest of the negotiations with our creditors.
Right. What's in this plan? I mean, what's the idea? To postpone the debt, to reduce it, a combination of both?
Well, it's a question of giving a longer period for repayment. And we've also been looking at some form of a reduction in the amount due. So those are being discussed now. And hopefully by Sunday or Monday, the final document will be available to us.
Okay, so you're making progress both with China and other creditors? Is this on?
With China, Lazard is discussing with all, and also Sri Lanka. We've been discussing with all the creditors, and with China also. I mean, China has not come on to not joined the common platform, but they've been there at every meeting. And all details have been shared with China. China has shared information with them. So except for formally being on the platform, China has been a party and is aware of all the information that is being shared.
Right. In Paris, there was an agreement on the debt from Zambia with both the Western creditors and China. Is this a good omen for your country, which shows, obviously every situation is different, that there is indeed a possibility to find an agreement with both China and other creditors?
No, we are confident of China coming along with the others. The Zambian one was announced this week, and it's good that China has been able to sort out Zambia. I listened to the speech of the Chinese Prime Minister both yesterday at the dinner, working dinner, and today. It shows China, for the first time, China has shown its approach to the whole issue of debt restructuring, and it's a positive message.
Right. Speaking of China, there has been speculation about China's presence in Sri Lanka. There have been reports in especially the American press that it could be a military presence in Sri Lanka. Is this the case, and do you rule it out for the future?
Well, Chinese have been there for about 1,500 years. So far, there has been no military base. There's a lot of speculation about the Hambantota harbor.
Right.
We've called for offers, and it's been given out to China merchants. But the security is controlled by the government of Sri Lanka. The Southern Naval Command will be shifted to Hambantota. We've got one brigade stationed in Hambantota and the nearby areas, and there certainly has been no issue of military use by the Chinese. The same company also runs a terminal in the Colombo harbor, in the South Port, and that's where warships come to all countries. Now, no one is complaining of the terminal they are running in Colombo. They're only complaining about the terminal and the port that they are managing in Hambantota. No, we have no military agreements with China. There won't be any military agreements. I don't think China enters into one. We are a neutral country, but we also emphasize on the fact that we cannot allow Sri Lanka to be used as a base for any threats against India.
Right. You recently declared some groups involved in traditional politics are actively working to hinder our economic revival. They're spreading false information and misleading the public with claims that we're selling off the country. What exactly do you have in mind?
No, there have been people who say we've been selling off the country.
Who are these people, Mr. President?
Part of the opposition or part of other groups. So I just pointed out each achievement we had. And I asked, is that selling off the country? If we reduce the price of fuel, is it selling off the country? We are working with foreign economies, not only Western, but also Eastern, like Japan, Korea, China. And working with them does not mean we are selling off the country. It means that we are developing the economy, and I asked them to reply. It's just a sort of a debate that goes on in Sri Lankan politics. They have not been able to reply. So I think they have other issues also. We have asked them. What I've told all the parties, we are in a very difficult situation now. Let's all get together and look at how we resolve it. And then when you all go to the elections next time, you all can say we've all been stakeholders in this development. But if you all keep criticizing in the old way without any other reasonable alternative, the fact is that the voters will turn you out. So it's much better for us to start a new political culture where we can all work together.
Right. Speaking of bringing people together, the cabinet has approved a proposal to establish a South African-style Truth and Reconciliation Commission. Will it happen, and will it satisfy the demands from the Tamil from the island? They have asked for an international probe into war crimes.
Truth and Reconciliation Commission has been agreed by all, and that's one of the conditions that the Geneva Human Rights Commission has also taken up. It was drafted some time ago, but after I became president, I've been talking. Even today I spoke to President Ramaphosa about the commission and for them to come and help us. This is what we wanted, and that's I will get it passed in Parliament by August. And already we are making plans to set up the secretariat. We require the South African assistance. There will be a lot of foreign observers, independent observers. So that's within the framework that we have so far specified.
When do you expect it to begin its work?
I think in my view, the legislation will be enacted by August.
Right. There's also talk about granting political autonomy to the Tamil. What about that?
Tamils are in different parts of the country and have different categories. No, this is, if you look at it, you have the Tamils in the north and the east, then there are Tamils of hill country whose origin traces back to India. Now we have been sorting out a lot of the issues there. In fact, those Tamils have been given voting rights in one area, one district called Norelia. All of a sudden the majority, the Sinhala majority became a minority, and the Tamils have become a majority. That has not happened in many countries that I am aware of. But we have to uplift the economic and the social standards of the Tamils living in those areas. They take part in the politics, and they have members who are serving in the central cabinet. As far as the North and as concerned, especially the leaders and members of the Tamil parties have been asking for the government to ensure that the devolution package which is in the constitution is implemented.
Will it be?
It has been implemented, but that the central government will not interfere in it. We have given that guarantee, and we are prepared to bring legislation. I have told them, in addition, they've asked for some of the other powers, not only for the North, but for all the 9 provinces. It's been supported by some of the former chief ministers in the other areas. So we are having discussions. I think we can identify some more subjects to come under the purview of the provincial councils.
Right. There was a report that was published just a couple of days ago mentioning the role of your predecessor, President Gotabaya Rajapaksa, in hampering some investigations into mass graves that were found during the fighting, obviously, in the 1980s and 1990s. Should there be investigations about his role, about the role of others, or is the Truth and Reconciliation Commission the only way to turn the page?
Well, I would like any allegations to come before the Truth and Reconciliation Commission, where it's about to be implemented. But if you are going to run a parallel investigation, we are only undermining the Truth and Reconciliation Commission. Any complaints anyone has can go before the Truth and Reconciliation Commission.
And it can involve anyone, eventually former, very senior.
No, they can call the former president or anyone else. And the fact is, no one can say it's a cover-up because we'll be having foreign observers.
Thank you very much, Mr. President, for granting us an interview, and thank you all for watching it. Stay tuned for more news here on France 24.